Alright, so this is assignment 8.1, parametric constraints. I'm just going to walk through numbers 1 through 9, and then once I'm done with 1 through 9, the next day your job is to do number 10, and then the next day of class we're going to do number 11. So for 1 through 9, I'm just going to start with number 1. This is what I said in the PowerPoint presentation, where it really works well to have some type of picture that you're going to be based off of, so that you know kind of how things are going to play out. We'll refer back to this picture later. First thing I'm going to do is make sure I have Inventor open and make a new project folder and call it Unit 8 since we're in 8.1. So go up to Projects, make a new one. It's going to be a single user project file. Call it Unit 8. Hit Finish. It's going to ask you if you want to create the new file and say yes, and everything should work out great. When you are done, you should have a Unit 8 folder, which I already have some things that I put into it because I've made the final project for this assignment, and I did the other 2 cams that you're supposed to do for this assignment. So a Unit 8 project folder, make sure you get that one checked, and then I'm going to go back to the assignment and we're going to make a new part. So in my Inventor, I'm going to click on New Part. And I already have it set so that when it comes up, it's going to come up to the XY drawing window, which is great. There's 2 ways to get to the parametric spreadsheet that we need to get to. One is you can click this little guy up here. It's black, so it's kind of hard to see. And if I click on that, that's the spreadsheet that we're going to use to make all of our parameters. Or if you want to, you can go to Manage and then click on that same FX right here. It opens up the exact same spreadsheet. So there's 2 ways to get to it. We need to define some parameters. So it says select user parameter and then add numeric and enter the variable D. And then we're going to keep doing that. These are the ones that we need. So we need a D, DO, D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. So I'm going to do that right now in my click user parameters, click add numeric. I need a D. Click somewhere else and it kind of saves that D. I'm going to add numeric. I need a D0. Add numeric, D1. Add numeric, D2. Click. Add numeric, D3. Click. Add numeric, D4. Click. Add numeric, D5. Click. So now I have all my my variables in that I need. I don't have any formulas written yet. But over here is where you can write a comment about like what it's going to be, like nominal diameter. And you can just take those things that you have here, radius of maximus, or you can name them whatever you want. You know, I mean, as long as this is a note for you to help you know what it is. So so it could be named whatever you want. Because it's really for you. This is the distance between the 2 centers. By the way, I'm clicking, and that's how I'm entering into the next box. D3 was the whole diameter. And then D4 was the thickness of the cam. And then the final one was the taper angle. Oops, click. So at this point, continuing with the directions, I'm going to say done. Continuing with the directions that we are at right now would be, I just did this. I did 1, then I clicked on add numeric, then I put in all my variables. What I need to do is I need to figure out what those variables are supposed to be. So for example, D is going to be set at 1 inch. But then DO says it's going to be 1/2 the nominal diameter. So you need to put a formula in that's going to take whatever D is and take half of it. There's 2 ways you can do that. So if I go up here to my parameters, so DO is supposed to be 1/2 of D. So I could literally type 1/2 times D. And notice it's black. That means the formula is right. It's going to work. And that's going to give me the value that I want to have. Or another way I could do that is I could just do D divided by 2. And like I said, if it pops that UL in there, that's fine. That's totally acceptable. Either way, I just need to make sure that the formula that's here matches what's going to be in your chart. So this chart is supposed to be created in your engineering notebook. Take the time to figure out what these formulas are going to be. You're supposed to do that. I'm going to be typing them in a second, so I suppose you could watch the video and just write them down. But then once you have that, if this is 1 inch, figure out what this value would be. This is 1/4 the nominal demand. So once you have that formula, figure out what that value would be, and so on. So I am going to do that right now in my spreadsheet. And I have done that, so I have some formulas here. Notice I did this one as 1/2 times D. Totally fine, it's still going to work out the same way. For D3, D4, and D5, that's a little bit different. If you look at the directions, it just says it's fixed to 3/16 inch. Fixed to 3/16 inch. So in my spreadsheet here, I'm just literally going to type 3/16, and it's always going to be that value now. 3/16, it's always going to be that value now. And then for the last one, it says that it's fixed to 0 degrees. So I need to change my unit. Click here. It's an angle. Click the plus. I want it to be degrees. So this last one is not in inches, it's actually in degrees now. And then I can put in 0, and it's going to be 0 degrees. So at this point, I'm ready to start sketching the cam. We've made this cam before, so we're going to have to recreate it because we don't have access to those old files. It's only going to take a second to do that. To recreate the cam, I'm going to go up here to Sketch, and I'm just going to put a circle down here at the bottom. I'm going to put a circle above it. It's going to be a little bit smaller. I'm going to hit Escape to get out of that menu and slide my face down. I want these two circles to make sure that they're going to be vertically constrained, so I'm going to click on the vertical constraint in the center and the center. Click on the line, put a line out here, click on the line, put a line out here. And then we're going to put some other geometric constraints on these. I'm going to use the tangent constraint. And I'm going to use the tangent constraint. It's okay if the circle gets bigger or smaller. We're going to adjust those in a minute. There we go. So it's all constrained in. I'm going to use the trimming tool. So trim. I'm going to trim away these pieces that I don't need anymore. It's starting to look more and more like that cam every second. There we go. Trimming away all the unnecessary pieces. I need one more circle, and that's the circle that is for the axle. So there we go. So there, my cam is made, but if you actually escape out of here and look down at the bottom, it says that I need 4 dimensions. Well, we knew we needed 4 dimensions. So here's the deal. Those 4 dimensions that you need are the ones that we put into our spreadsheet. So instruction 6 says, basically use your parameters to constrain your dimensions. Again, let me show you what that means. I'm going to go up so that I remember which ones were which. D0 is the big one at the bottom. So if I dimension and click that radius at the bottom, I don't want it to be 0.29. Instead, I'm going to click this little arrow. I'm going to list the parameters. If there's a list down, don't select those, because sometimes those refer back to a different even part. So always click this part where it says list parameters and D0. And now it is what it's supposed to be. And notice everything changed when I did that, because D0 has a value. It's calculating it based on whatever the nominal number is. So I'm going to look back at my my chart. What else do I have to get? D1. D1 was the top. So I'm going to dimension this top radius. And when I do that, I'm going to click the little arrow, list parameters, and select D1. Here we go. What else do I need? I got to get the distance that they are between each other. So from the center of this circle to the center of that circle, that was D2. So dimension from the center of this circle to the center of that circle, it's not going to be 1.3. So instead of 1.3, I'm going to click the little triangle. And it's not letting me click the little triangle. There we go. List parameters, always click list parameters. And that was D2, I believe. And it looks kind of short and silly looking right now, which is fine. This is what my cam's going to look like once we're done here. Looking one more time, D2 was the offset. I got to get the whole diameter. That was D3. So I'm going to dimension that. Click the little arrow, list parameters, D3. And having those written down, having that list really pays off. Hit OK. There we go. And I am fully constrained. If you look down in the lower right, everything is constrained. Finish my sketch. Because at this point, I can extrude. And even when I extrude, where it says distance, make sure I get the right part clicked there. I don't want it to be 1 inch. The list parameters, so I click the arrow, click list parameters. I can select D4 for that. D4. And there is my cam. Completely made the way that it is supposed to be made. So the nice thing about having the cam made this way is that you can just quickly adjust anything. Like I can go up here to my parameters list now and notice that there's a lot more information going on because the computer's using this information to do stuff. But these were the things I put in. If I change D, that changes this, this, this. These would stay the same. And I could change D to anything that I want to. And that's actually what you're going to do. The next part of the assignment says, because we just did number 6 here, set the material to ABS plastic. And then you're supposed to just kind of check your work at this point. So I'm going to go up to the tippy top, up here where it was generic material. And the very, very top, there's a scroll bar here. The very top is ABS plastic. There we go. If I go to the eye properties now of that, I should be able to see the volume and the mass. If I don't get these numbers, something's wrong with my part. So let's check my work to see if my work is okay. If I go up here where it says part, right click, eye properties, physical, update, 0.006 pound mass, 1.166 inches cubed. It's just a way to check your work, and that is what I'm supposed to get. So what you are supposed to do now is make another table. This is number 9. This is the last part of what we're doing for our work for today. You're going to go into that part. I would save it first. So maybe go up here. I'm going to close the eye properties box, save the part. You'll see what some of the other parts that I named were. I'm just going to call it Parametric Cam. And now that I have that made, if I just go up I can go to Manage and select it, or I can still select that black thing. But if I change the nominal diameter now, so if I go to this where it says User Parameters D, if I make this value 1.5, make sure you click a different box before you hit Done. Everything else has been updated. So this part has now been updated. It looks exactly the same because proportionality, you know, nothing changed. But if I go over here and I right click, go down to Eye Properties, left click, Physical tab, Update, notice my pound mass is different and my volume is different. The part is now bigger than it was before, and that's what you're supposed to do for the second table, is put your volume and your pound mass, your mass in, and do the other ones, and then take a picture of this table and turn it in, and take a picture of this table that you have completed and turn it in. Those are the two things that you're going to turn in for your homework submission.